1 World Finals in all of history. Drage and Lena also rejoining forces, formerly being on foot back in 2023. So plenty of history if you scroll back and just take a look.
Fantastic, and of course we're just starting off the day here on the show. We got a whole lot of Brawl Stars ahead, but if you're looking for limited time items, we've only got a couple days, weeks left, hours, minutes, I don't know how much time. So you better get over to the cosmetic shop and grab these sprays before it's too late. Trav, you picked them all up,
до фіналу чемпіонату світу.
Yeah, I own absolutely every single one of these. Do not check my account to make sure, but everybody should own every single one of those as well. Get them whilst they're still going because they're limited time now to me.
Well said, and unlimited our opinion, but we gave just a few of them and who we thought was going to win the quarterfinals. Let's pull up our talent predictions. Across the board, you guys copied my homework today. Ready, set, come on, the consistency here.
І подивимось, як довго це по часу візьме, тому що якщо це буде задовго, то я, скоріш за все, просто пізніше зроблю повний огляд ігор цих команд, але коментую не повністю. Але європейська має сьогодні бути дуже жарко має бути, тому що я думаю, що саме в Європі одні з найсильніших команд виступають зараз. У нас сьогодні навіть аж 3 коментатори.
My expectations are to win foot because they were struggling against tier B guys.
Так, а це у нас
We want to see that they're gonna struggle.
Is going to be qualifying for MSI.
А ну-ка.
And we will try to reach at least grand finals in the first month to get a good start and increase our chances of qualifying.
Непогано вже, звісно, у нього загадування наперед.
Some short and sweet, some a little spicy there, but I'm glad we've got the players' takes, and I know they're locked in for their upcoming matches. Also locked in our beautiful community, especially if you're watching over on our brand new events site. We're going to be popping up some quiz questions throughout the night. Feel free to share your opinion, share your answers. It will be the most correct throughout the day. Well, you can maybe look forward to be featured here on our stream or across our socials. So remember to follow Brawl Stars on all social media. And now, yapping is done. We got our first match of the day all set up. So let's bring up Humble vs Eclipsar Esport. And gentlemen, I know we started this off so strong, but we're going right into Humble, current world champions, a very scary team.
I mean, that's the thing, we're starting 2025 in EMEA off the way we ended 2024 with the world's champions, Semantic Boss and Luki, an absolutely incredible team. I think everybody's going to really be quite scared of them coming into this year, as, you know, they really did prove last year what they've got. They seem to be coming to 2024 as the leftovers of the EMEA region and kind of built themselves up to be the team that everyone should be scared of.
Alrighty, they've got a lot on their shoulders here. The crown is heavy, and is it going to slow them down? Or is that the extra fire they need to defend this?
You have to wonder, right? Because it's the first for them being in this position. The only person on this roster that saw World Finals appearances before has been Semantic, but he's the guy calling the shots. He's in charge of the team. He has this passion about the game. He's so eloquent, really. I think just a great leader for this team that can keep them under control, help them keep their cool.
Well, I'm very excited then that we've got a couple words from Semantic ahead of this match. Let's check in with what he had to say.
Я не знаю навіщо, зараз дають пару слів питань.
As always for any major tournament, multi-final, world finals anyways, we are just gonna scrim. We're gonna scrim the maps we have against the teams who are also participating in the tournament. Train against each other, see what works, what combination of brawlers works, what draft works, and especially just hone our skills even more. Individual skills, be it team synergy, be it just
Каже, що вони не збираються зупинятися на цьому, що вони досягли, і будуть покращувати.
Honestly, the last 2 world finals already, including the 1v1, were all super close with any team at a different day could have won it. So I'm looking out for all the teams out there from the APAC region, which is looking really competitive this year. From North America, which is having a ton of roster changes going on there. To, of course, Europe being completely insane as always, and having now back-to-back world titles as well. We gotta look out everywhere. They're all really goated, and it really just depends on how you perform on that day.
You called it already, said it was really great to hear from him here. Any reaction, his thoughts?
I mean, this is what you come to expect from Semantic. He's a fantastic team captain. He really knows how to lead his team. And I think in recent years, he's improved a lot in that respect. And obviously, it's working. They won the World Finals.
Well, they've got excellent synergy, and I wonder how Eclipsar Esports is going to hold up. But let's pull up this roster, dive right in, and see what they've brought to bear. A little bit of a newer team here. Talk to me about them.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to hold up at all, to be honest with you, because they are against the world champions and they are relatively unknown. It is all of their first monthly finals in the Brawl Stars Championship, so they're definitely going to have to, you know, on top of playing against Humble, put up with the nerves. It is definitely not going to be an easy ride. The three Italian guys actually managed to beat out Totem as well, getting here and, you know, clearly wanting to claim, put themselves up as the Italian team in the Brawl Stars Championship.
Yeah, look at this scoreline. No one is up against Reply Totem. What's your thoughts here, Reddy?
I think really looking back at the qualifier also that they just seem pretty ahead in the draft, and that's probably where they'll draw their strength, I think, coming up in this match versus Humble, who are also good drafters. It's really difficult to find a weakness for Humble in particular, though I also want to point out that there's like just a little bit of history for this roster. They did, you know, make some pretty good runs in quals last year as Reverso Gaming EU. Now joining up with Eclipsar Esports. Eclipsar, well, now they have a reputation. They put their faith in a team last year that made it all the way through the last chance qualifier, so maybe there's something to bring out of that.
We got our maps and game modes down there at the bottom. You can take a look at that, and I want to dive into that a little further. Already said, talking about how this roster came together, can we speak to any particular histories or support that they might be getting from any of the individual players?
I'll tell you this much. I mean, there's sort of like a, you know, the group of people at the top, and I can't speak confidently as to whether these people have really engaged with the top just yet. But if they can take a set, they can take even a game off of Humble here, then they're well on their way to forming some of those relationships, probably.
Alright, well, I'm looking to see how they all play out in the field of battle, heading on into our first map here, so I'll hand it on over to you, gentlemen.
Well, there's a 94% there, and I'm not sure if I'm liking Eclipsar's chances too much before that, and now including the public's view on it as well, because that is an absolutely massive sway towards Humble's side. And honestly, who can blame the public for it? Obviously, they've got their votes in over at event.brawlstars.com, so make sure to go and do that if you want the in-game swag, the star drops, the rank drops, and also the pin/splay, depending on the month. Bans are in for Gen 4. We're heading into the first set with the Poco, the Sandy, and the Max for the side of Humble going to be banned out, and then over the flip side, Eclipsar are going to get rid of the Lou, the Juju, and the Janet. Some good bans across the way.
I like it. I think for Humble, they've safeguarded themselves against stuff that could counter them really hard. Poco, one that, well, if we're going back and looking at East Asia, was a big problem in draft. Just it being present made B a very viable pick, made Frank a super huge issue to deal with. When we look at Eclipsar, they're getting rid of the good first picks. Here comes the Stew for selection from Humble. That can be pretty flexible. They can run that on the lane if they want. Can also run it on mid if they need to.
Yeah, well, I like this too a lot. Obviously, as you said, the mobility that it brings is just absolutely crazy when it comes to maps like this. And we did see it yesterday in the APAC region. I believe it might have been Tenside playing on that, or at least one of the Crazy Raccoon players who was just skating about the map, getting behind them with the supercharge, and then just coming in and pinching in, making sure that they can't escape when they had that countdown. Ruff's going to come in as the direct counters to that Stew. Sandbag's going to be a big deterrent to him getting his super. And we know Semantic on the Stew is probably not going to be deterred that easily, so Sabim's going to have to do some serious gameplay in here. Marco selects the Gene. Another great mid pick. It's been a mid pick since the start of time in Brawl Stars.
Yeah, I just worry a little bit because it is quite counterable, even by Semantic over here. He's going to have the option of going for wall break depending on what Eclipsar Esports go for their last pick. He can just swap over his gadget really easily and stick on speed zone to block the Gene pull if he needs to. Dash away, Penny also. Just a good brawler here. Can play lane, can play mid. Hypercharge is super huge. Gene can pull the turret, and sometimes it's a good use. But keep in mind, Penny's basically never gonna get pulled. She's always gonna have that salty barrel ready to go, and look at this, she shoots right through the bags that Ruffs is gonna lay down, and this is a big reason, not just Penny in particular, but this is a reason why we don't see Ruffs as much anymore. He's just not very good right now, because yes, okay, he can be good into that stew, throw down the bags, absorb all the shots, but at the same time, any kind of piercing damage is gonna make that a bad matchup. Surge, also taken by Humble. I think Eclipsar probably wanted that.
Yeah, I mean, all-round great picks from Humble here, really, as you touched on with Penny a bit. Going to be really good for tanking the gene pool, spraying through those rough sandbags and helping the stew, you know, burn through those, which Ruffs is going to be placing time and time again. It might have even forced him to bring out that other gadget with the Meteor Rain, so we'll see if that is the case, or if he does stick to his guns, and we can see Ash roll in as the last pick. Rat's going to be pretty good against the Surge, getting close to him, stopping him from getting those supers. But obviously you've got to get your super for that, and during that time, Surge should be excelling.
I think so, and also another consideration is that you're going to get points for free thanks to the Colonel Ruff's hypercharge. With him not being really that good, his hypercharge not giving him that much of a boost in terms of viability. We haven't gotten to see it that much in competitive, so it'll be nice to see it, you know, one of these rare times. Does mean that Subim has a tough responsibility here, though. A lot of times it can be difficult to play Ruffs. His damage can be lacking at times, and still it's possible for Semantic on this dude to shoot between those bags. It's sort of a skill expression thing, but that is also what Humble are known for.
Yeah, well, Luki instantly dropping the 2024 World Champion pin, making obviously Humble's championship known to their opponents, and already backing the opposition into a corner, getting his level 2 early on and throwing out some shots, and level 3 already, managed to avoid those Gene shots and stay alive so he can keep those levels.
It's not looking very good for Ash on this matchup. Might even look to go for a lane switch. Knows that it's not going to be that much better on the other side, though. See Semantic now dashing in, getting the kill on Biso, who was forced away from those bags thanks to the Penny pick. Can no longer really be viable against a stew. On the right lane, Luki claims the life of Ash and now advances to level 4, has that hypercharge right.
Well, it's not looking too good for Eclipsar at the moment, to be honest. 7 gems already picked up from the boss and will have those solid barrels. Now the hypercharge comes forward and Luki puts himself in a tough spot and does go down. Rat's available for Sabim over the right-hand side as well. And the break comes through on these walls, which opens it up and lets Eclipsar get back into the mix that little bit more. But the Rats are the first thing that Luki's going to have to deal with.
He's going to have to fight through them in a moment here, by the looks of things. If gym number 10 comes in soon, Subim now with the Rats down, easily dealt with by boss. Luki even gets to get to his level 3. But now Humble have had to group up towards the bottom left, keeping their distance from Marco. The only brawler that's really vulnerable here is Luki, gets pulled, can't even super in time. It's like it came out of nowhere. And now Humble have to fight this 2v3, just look to regroup. Fighting versus a tank that's hanging out around this indestructible, but Subim knows that Luki can jump on it quite...
Moments from Humble where you're like, there's that, guys.
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think there was like any big moments. They kind of just held on to the game for the entirety, but there was really no need for any big moments in my opinion, really.
Yeah, there was a moment where Luki jumped forward with the super and proceeded to die, and that was very unnecessary, but Humble being themselves recovered from that position. He just knew that he was going to win that matchup, pretty much, and sort of threw the lane, but only for a moment. Just a reminder, I think, in a pretty enclosed area, that they can't really afford to play loosely at all. I'm sure Luki was reprimanded for it in the comms.
Yeah, well, we should be getting into the draft shortly. We are heading on into Brawl Ball in center stage, so another mode where Humble can use its aggression to their advantage, and I'm sure they'll continue that from that first set. But Eclipsar, a lot of work to do, a lot of things they need to iron out after that first set. It really didn't seem too good for them at all. Heading on into the draft, then bans should be coming in shortly as they either collect the loot and the meter from the side of Humble, and the Poco, Rico, and Sandy for the side of Eclipsar.
Frustrating things. Excuse me, things eliminated by Eclipsar. That's what you get the privilege of doing when you have the first pick. The caveat is that you gotta pick the good thing as first selection, and Juju is wide open. So they might decide to go for this. When you're standing in an open terrain, you get a lot of damage. You can auto-aim on the ground. Janet, first selection. Good for keeping the control. I think can get overwhelmed. You don't really want to feed her super, but even like tanks from Humble, especially when they have the last pick, I think she can be quite vulnerable. Now, at the same time though, she is still one of the best brawlers in the game with her hypercharge.
Yeah, I mean, Janet is extremely nasty on pretty much every single map at the moment. The drop the base to be able to reveal in all these bushes goes, you know, hand in hand with the kit, and also, as you mentioned, the hypercharge is just disgusting. Being able to stay directly on top of someone and just rain down bombs on them all day is not going to be the best thing to be paired up against, especially when you can do nothing against it, but Frank comes in. That's going to be a good choice. Janet's not going to have the most DPS, and even when dropping bombs on Frank, he should be able to kind of just eat them all up, survive that, and move on. And if they do want to play a bit more range on the sides, then I mean, they're going to go with the barrier who can play them forward as well. The nice little heal on with the tank is something that Humble are massively known for.
Yeah, it's the Barry and the tank. Barry Frank, I mean, it's good so many different places. I don't know if y'all saw, and also they don't want to waste their last pick on something that isn't like a total game changer or very impactful period. But when I look at this Max, I see the potential to get up in the face of this Angelo, but it is very mechanically based. It is a skill matchup. You can still get outdone in this matchup between Max and
I shouldn't take the Melody. I was expecting something maybe like a Pearl or something like that that we see picked up in the mid-range game quite frequently on a map like Shooting Star, but then again that might go Eclipsar's way, and they might choose to take that to kind of have a fight off against the Melody when coming in close range. It's probably quite good to have the super and have that built-up damage that Pearl does bring to the table, but Humble do still have a last pick before we flip back over to Eclipsar for theirs, and yeah, it might give Eclipsar a bit of an advantage to have that last pick and have the ability to counter what Humble have brought to the table, but if they're smart enough, if they're they've kind of taken the Pearl off them now, so it's a good pick. I like what Humble have got here. Very good composition.
I feel like Eclipsar are like maybe thinking of, okay, well, we could Bell into this Pearl classic counter, but then you leave yourself so open to the Melody. So it's going to be tough. Also note that RT would be like such a good pick here to defend against that Melody and also go toe-to-toe with the Angelo, but has been banned by Humble. So as we can see now, definitely a shrewd decision by them. Last selection now coming in from Eclipsar Esport. Going to be pick number 6, 8-bit. Okay. So my thought was that maybe Humble would pick up like a Bell or something into the 8-bit, would prevent Eclipsar from going 8-bit or Pearl, but they decided to pick up the Pearl themselves. Now they got to play into the 8-bit, which can actually be pretty menacing if he drops boosted booster and then Piper gets to benefit from it.
Yeah, I quite like the Eclipsar comp as well. Normally I'd be like, okay, this is, you know, it's acceptable, they got a chance, but against Humble, I think you kind of got to doubt regardless. But I don't mind the 8-bit. I think it's pretty solid, as you say, with the Piper. If you can get them in that booster range, it's going to be pretty decent at getting a lot of damage done against, you know, the Pearl that's going to outrange the Melody. Without super, you're going to be doing decent against. But when Melody starts to get supers, and if she starts to cycle them, more importantly, Eclipsar are going to be in a very tough position.
Well, she's already gotten that blue star, so how do you Humble plan on playing this? You have the single most aggressive brawler on your entire roster, now in possession of the single tiebreaker between you and the enemy. But Humble are continuing to push in, putting Eclipsar's backs against the wall, just gradually laying down the pressure. Lukey looking for some shots on a Marco. He's cornered himself on the right, but thankfully he's got Stinging Flight ready to go. Used it pretty liberally, doesn't really care too much because the clock is definitely right about at pace with how he wants to be using his gadgets.
Yeah, drops his super a bit far back, and you can just he's still got a couple of shots in here on the 8-bit. That's going to be, he's going to be pretty thankful about that, because it did seem like it might have been a waste at one point. Boss going in now, gets the shield off as well. Will he be able to get out? Gets his super, and Lukey will cover him and eat the shot as well. The homemade recipe was attempted over the left-hand side to the right, but Lukey, with the help of Boss, is going to stay alive.
Biso pops the hypercharge. That's 1, that's 2 on a Semantic, but he's fully shielded up, and in comes Melody to punish a jump away, but it's no use. Boss in hot pursuit, but Marco sniped by Lukey, outskilled in a matchup that Max is way favored to win. Boss picks up another with a hypercharge of his own, and Humble have now grown this lead to 10 stars total.
I mean, Lukey doing so well as well. He's kept Boss alive twice now by tanking these shots that both 8-bit and Piper want to send towards Boss when he's trying to get out of those situations that he put himself in. And they do have a 10-star lead, which is going to be really tough to come back from. They're going to need everybody on the side of Humble, and I just don't know what the likelihood of that happening in 16 seconds is. Hypercharge from Lukey. It looks like Sabine's even given up now. The rest of them retreating as Boss goes in once more. In 10 seconds to get 12. I don't like their odds.
Nah, that's bad for morale when your enemy team is popping the pig, they're popping the princess as well, yawning, practically falling asleep at the wheel, no difference. When you're behind 10 stars and you're versus Humble, they're popping their world finals pins, reminding you just what you're up against as a bad sign. Match point now, favoring Humble in just nothing, no presence in sight for Eclipse.
Yeah, I mean, coming into it is what we expected, but I was expecting a little bit more of a fight here and there, some games going their way, but they are against the world champions after all. We see a bit of a lane switch coming here as Eclipse want to change things up, try something else, as if they do the same again, it'd be the same result.
Already the long-range snipes from both Boss and Lukey, barely staying alive with 100 health. Biso thought about going for a homemade recipe there, I guess didn't have it ready to move once again. Lukey's always able to jump away. Makes him really good in this Piper matchup. Here comes a speed in from Marco. Immediately denied, dropped to low health. Biso thinking about making an impact here. And even popped a gadget, it looked like, onto Semantic, but could not connect. See Boss in to punish Marco, now going for two. On the left side, Subin eliminated. And Lukey keeping up the presence on the right side. Humble are really punishing Eclipse Esport, who at this point are playing so safe that it's borderline timid.
I mean, look at Semantic's confidence, look where he is, and he's going to go down, but it's the overconfidence that's, you know, going to end up costing him if they're not too careful about it. Marco dashes through that, Lukey forced to jump away with the gadget. And throwing up a little pig pin that's shaking some booty over there and really rubbing it in to Eclipse Esports, but shield can be popped by Boss, this time not in an aggressive position. Biso one-shot, Max coming in to try and tank that, but look how aggressive they are. They're 2 stars up, and they're trying to pin the Eclipse back against the wall, and they eventually do get a kill to extend that lead. Boss going in once more.
Boss просто заходить і забирає ще 2 персонажів.
8 stars to go for what could be a 20-star win for Humble. They keep up this kind of momentum, and they're going to play it safe, especially into Subin. Just popped the hypercharge on the left side, closing in with the turret that now fires at the enemy, but Boss has the shield. Subin's trying to line it up for 5 stars. It's not looking so good for Eclipse right now, but they do bring this to just a 3-star gap. A kill on Semantic and Lukey or Boss would do it. Just need 2 kills taken down. Not a shot in sight. And Humble are going to close it out with a perfect, flawless 6-0 sweep.
Вони перемагають дуже просто.
Wake up, Semantic! You just won. Was he doing that in his sleep? Could he potentially do that in his sleep ready?
I mean, the likes of these competitors, Lukey, Boss, and Semantic on Humble, I imagine they've played so much Brawl Stars they probably do play scrims in their sleep.
Well, they were playing with their food for sure in this matchup here. Taking a look at the stats, doesn't even tell the whole story, but still pretty scary, Trav.
Yeah, I mean, Biso taking the most DPS across the board, but Boss is 7 kills, just absolutely unparalleled. All the people on Eclipse Esports aren't even adding up to close to where Boss is with his 7, and Lukey and Semantic on another 4 and 3 along with it as well. It was extremely comfortable. They were playing with their food a little bit towards the end as well, which, you know, you do hate to see a little bit, but I think they kind of, you know, asserting their dominance in 2025, making sure that it's known they're still the team that they were at the end of 2024.
Це був один з 4 боїв, які Humble забрали просто.
Oh my goodness! I mean, you know, maybe it's in their contract that they gotta showboat a little. You're in a comfortable position, you know.
Легко далась команді Humble. В сенсі, ну, вони майже не відчули ніякої проблеми, тому що персонажі повністю допомагали їм тримати тотальну домінацію. І тому це навіть це не дивно, чому так сталося. Я би сказав, це дійсно дуже легко було для команди Humble. Попри все. І 8 біт тут взагалі не підходить, якщо чесно, я вам скажу. Тому, друзі, не повезло команді Humble. Насправді.
Этот момент я тоже помню, это вот прошлый мировой чемпионат. Групповая стадия, если не ошибаюсь, да, групповая стадия. Тут Джокер промахнется в пустые ворота.
Це Мебіус. Мебіус, я знаю, по-моєму, він з України. Розмовляє російською.
Здесь...
Я не знаю чому.
Я помню, это, получается, финал чемпионата мира. Семантик кое-как нафармит ульту, то ли гипер, не помню уже. Скорее всего, гипер и пойдет просто в размен на вражеский сейф.
Это хайлайт комментует киберспортсмен.
И последний, да, я помню этот момент. Хотя я его не смотрел, честно признаюсь, ни разу даже не пересматривал. Хотя обычно я все матчи пересматриваю, но тут да. Получается, Хуан Карлос запрыгнет, и Люки, скорее всего, отпрыгнет куда-то обратно.
Да, те, що пікнув Хуан Карлос, це просто жах.
Welcome back to the Brawl Stars Championship EMEA Monthly Finals. We're heading into our second quarterfinal match. We did a little caster swapperoo. We got Ark in here, and Trav's taking a quick break. Ark, we had a heck of a matchup that you got to watch from the sidelines, but now we're getting into Team Heretics versus Kozaki, and Team Heretics choice across the board to win it. But tell me a little bit about why our casters and me are so consistent. Me, because I followed you guys, but you, tell me about Heretics.
I mean, what an announcement this was. I mean, saving the best for last, in my opinion, when it comes to the Rostermania of the year. Drage, Lenar, and iChaos. There's iChaos, of course. I'm loving the three-player cam split this year. It's so great. What an addition to the BSC. I mean, Chaos has got 27 monthly finals in his pocket. This is 28 here today. 8 out of those being wins. 4 monthly final wins for Lenan in his career, 2 for Drage. And bringing these teams, these players together to form this squad was definitely a big surprise. Drage, of course, coming from the sort of former team Okachiki, which was then SCMN EU at the LCQ. Lenan from SK Gaming and iChaos from Reply Totem to form this Goliath, this absolute monster of a beast that has joined the EMEA region.
Yeah, Reddy said they were playing under the boat until they got picked up. Break this down for me.
Maybe it's the best of all time. That's the leading theory that I have. Why they decided against the GOAT, if that's the thinking, then I couldn't tell you confidently. What I can tell you, though, is that we're at a stage of Brawl Esports where you could take a look at a team and already know that they are destined for the World Finals. They have so many World Finals qualifications and performances already under their belt. Art commenting on just the repertoire when it comes to monthly finals appearances and wins. No doubt in my mind that these guys are gunning for the World Finals at the end.
I just saw it saying that I hate you, and I was thinking that pretty much sums up me and Trav's relationship right there in that top left. But to bring it back around to Kozaki, of course, joined today by Gugu as well. This was Buzzco that was involved in the qualifying stages. Now Gugu coming in, and I feel like this is going to bring back definitely some memories for Drage. Maybe not the best of memories, in fact, because of course, you know, when you go back to the LCQ of last year, that was when Drage was faced off against both Gugu and Mabius, who formed the former Eclipse Esports roster. And of course, this being the qualifying stages, of course, it forced Team Heretics down into that lower bracket stage. Kozaki coming out on top in that regard there with a 3-2 scoreline that went the distance, and certainly that gave, you know, Team Heretics a lot to think about in those stages. They had to then beat Reply Totem in that final stage, which they did to a 3-1 scoreline, but it really did put a lot of question marks as to whether they would even make the first monthly final of the year as such. And so history has it be that Reply Totem are the team that are not here today. But it was a very, very close affair, and it could have gone another way.
Do you feel the same, Reddy?
I mean, it's a tough one, right? Like Kozaki just being this roster and being able to take down Heretics in the qualifiers. I mean, they really went every which way. Qualifiers are, in general, they're based on instinct. Now we're coming into a monthly final where things are more reliant on prep. So the question of who ends up taking the win here is more of a question of who has the better prep when it comes into the quarterfinals, and then also where do you see yourself going in this monthly final? Are you going all the way for the grand finals, or are you just focused on this next match? If you're looking at making the World Finals qualification at the end of the year, you got to be going for first.
And taking a look at our maps and game modes here, I do want to double down on that because prep is important. We've got Gugu now in on Kozaki. How do you think this is going to affect them, Reddy?
As far as the maps over here, I think we're going to be starting off with Canal over here, which can be a really draft-dependent map. This is going to give us a good litmus test, just a sampler of how things are going to be going. It'll set the tone for the remainder of the match, I believe.
Very interesting. And Ark, too, looking at these rosters, what they're bringing to this. Oh, there's our predictions. Coming in strong for our team Heretics there. But Kozaki, they could bring things out. They could switch things up a little bit. And we've got Gugu on the roster now. What do you think that's going to mean for him?
I think, for me, Gugu did very well last year to get to the World Finals. I think that was a really, really commendable thing, considering that he hadn't played since 2022. So I think that, this year he's going to be trying to get even better when it comes to that regard. Of course, not being on this roster permanently throughout the course of the year, but looking to still establish himself in this region. Very close split, got to say, in terms of that poll. Not quite expecting that myself, but 47% only to Team Heretics. That's just the minority there, which is quite interesting to me, considering that, when you could look at the roster of Team Heretics combined, Chaos, playing for Reply Totem last year, gaining that experience on the world stage, yet again in the semi-final stages. They did lose to Fraser Raccoon to a 1-3 scoreline, and on the other side as well, Lenan making the semi-finals as well at the world finals, losing to Humble to a 1-3 scoreline. I mean, losing to the team that wins the whole thing, I can't really feel too bad about myself, really. But the Bounty and Canal Grande is our first map mode up in this series, and the band's already in Tick, the Angelo, the Juju, as well as the Carl, the Shade, and the Eve.
Okay, no interest in facing throwers here from Heretics, though there's still a possibility. Wonder why this is the focus. Juju, I don't really need to wonder about. Tick, also really viable first pick here. But they have the last pick to counter things with if they want to. So I guess the idea here is that they don't want to have to expend that last selection on a thrower just to deal with another thrower, right? We'll see the first selection in from Kozaki. It's that RT. We actually saw this banned in the first match of the day because it's usually just a comfortable brawler. He works fine at long range. He is also pretty good in close range to counter things out. So generally a good first selection, but not one that is usually making the flashy plays. Janet coming out as well. Big fan of that one for me. Certainly the Hypercharge now has given her a real place. First pick though, not overly sure myself as a first pick, but I still quite think it's definitely the sort of which can give a lot of visibility to the opposition as well, flying across the map and then showing where everyone is in the bush, and then making them much more susceptible to aggression. Larry and Laurie, love that pick coming through. Makes a lot of sense when Juju's banned. That's pretty much for me the second best thrower in the game, and Barley could have been an option for me as well, but I still think that Larry and Laurie is being actually almost a little bit slept on now that Juju's really taken a fighting place in the meta. But it could be a Barley on the eyes of FA Kozaki here to have somewhat of a thrower in the side, and it will be, I don't mind that at all. I think this makes a really good answer to that. Larry and Laurie will take a bit of the pressure off. They've got long range now as well. I might want to combine something alongside with that, and with the bans that Eve actually just eradicate some of the brawlers that can really kind of utilize that lake area for themselves. So good bans on both sides, and a pretty even drop. RT and Barley's good combo. Yeah, honestly though, when I look at this, I definitely have a preference for the Larry over the Barley. I think just in terms of damage, range, also. I think it's just about a matchup. We'll have Gus now coming in from Kozaki. You have good survivability with Gus as far as a sniper goes. Keeps you safe, relatively so, against something like a Daryl, something like that. Could be totally possible as a last pick because Heretics have placed some emphasis on it, getting the thrower matchup on their terms and out of the way before that last selection comes in. So we were correct in that analysis. Looking at a couple of Team Heretics have their final selection. Do they plan on combining something with the Janet, the Kit? Is that really okay? Sprout. So double thrower is what they decided to go for. Sprout's one that was kind of knocking around in my head, where okay, the Barley comes out, Sprout's not a bad matchup into that either. You've two throwers, should be good into the Barley. I honestly think that it could be a little cooked for Kozaki into this double thrower, given that they only have Barley. Website now where it has some win rates as well, so I imagine saying that it's 100% of a win rate over Team Heretics in favor of FA Kozaki, when maybe the casuals are looking at that site and sort of trying to ponder up who they're going to put on their predictions. Blue Star immediately in the pocket of Team Heretics already, and a good position on the map too. I mean, this is exactly what you don't want to have as a starting hand for FA Kozaki, really, because we're against double thrower. It's going to be hard to claim back this territory. think it really comes down to Team Heretics to mess up in a colossal way for this one not to go precisely their way. It's quite early to call, but it's one of those situations where they pretty much already won it because the only thing that Kozaki can really do here is get Barley in a position, and it's going to be tough for him given that he's outranged and outdamaged by Drake. He's going to try and ameliorate the situation by placing down the gadget, which gets some healing for the squad, but that's really all it is able to do. It has cooldown, and additionally, you're only able to use it a few times a game. We'll see Heretics continue to keep them in this back right corner. As long as Heretics don't get too aggressive, then they should be perfectly fine. Lina also has a super to escape. Gugu's making good use of the fact that he's able to levitate over the water in the head form, basically become a worse Jackie, but still getting in position. Mebius on the right side gets the kill, and gets the elimination onto iChaos as well. Kozaki with mid-control once again. They managed to make this happen by putting Gugu on the head form and having him circle around the left side.
Gugu played fantastic there for me. Really opened up the space, utilizing the out-of-line gadget as well to bring the leg form straight over the leg. The walls that were placed by Chaos weren't enough to really deter it, but now they're up to the skies for the showcase by Chaos, and that will get the lead back over to Team Heretics. With 10 seconds, Gugu has an opportunity still to come through this mid. They've got to focus their attention on him. Maybe it's slow. He goes down to Drake, and taking down his Gugu just in the nick of time as well. Team Heretics bring it back.
Nicely done by Heretics, and honestly, when they got overwhelmed there, I don't know if that was that much of a mistake, because what we saw from Kozaki was they were using the fact that they just had a health advantage. They're playing into throwers, which, like, yes, Larry is getting crazy damage out here, but Janet, not really known for her damage so much, can get outranged in situations, and especially Sprout, it can be difficult to align the shots sometimes, doesn't do that much damage. We'll see Mebius try and cement himself on the left side, but already encircled by the combo of iChaos, Lina on the right side, Drage. We're backing away from this lane versus Snob, but ultimately getting some support from Lina, keeping Mebius away so that he can fight toe-to-toe with Nob on this right side. But he does have a disadvantage in terms of reload speed against Nob, which ultimately lets Barley get control of this right bush.
Well, Nana's already had a fantastic start. I mean, he's got super as well, probably not too far off getting a hyper charge to add to it, because that beginning part where he was just really spamming shots into Gugu, forcing out again the out-of-line gadget to force back the blue star. Still with the hands of Kozaki, but positioning the entire mid was left, and this is the result. This is what we're seeing happening again, where Team Heretics can really kind of take a more forthcoming role in it, but now Kozaki's starting to bring themselves a bit more together in that regard, a bit more on the aggressive. Team Heretics have got the lead by 1 star, but back in the spawn is not what you want to be. The map like Canal Grande, and Nob can try to keep the pressure on with some good splash damage, then it could open things up for Gugu to get a couple of taps in there as well, as Mavis and Drage continue to dance this right hand side, and Drage now the low 2. That shot hit the wall, and that was a bit of but disastrous Chaos gets to kill on the left hand side, bringing the lead further into the hands of Team Heretics.
Nice play from iChaos. Sensed an opportunity in the situation, went in with a hypercharge just so that he could two-shot the Barley. That's some brawl IQ right there, knowing that you're able to get the two-shot with a specific combo of abilities, just knowing exactly how much damage it's going to do. Drake on the right side, taken down. Likely the first to fall. Mebius claims a kill, but we also see RT zoom all the way back to mid. Lina trying to super in to get any form of damage that he can, but cannot do it. Kozaki lead by 1 star to close out game 2.
Kozaki doing well on the aggressiveness, and the timing that time round was much better. For me, Team Heretics not looking too comfortable a lot of the time. There's a good balance of aggression from both sides. That was much more a match in favor of Kozaki there for me. Let's see this time round. He's going to take this step. Quite an important one to kick things off. It's clearly a very matched level, and Lenan taking early to the skies this time around. I quite like that. We haven't really seen much of him on that Janet going to the skies. Oh, the landing! Really didn't do the justice of it. Maybe it's some nice cookie pop gadget as well there to finalize that kill, bringing the 3-star lead over to Kozaki early on. And the Chaos now, that wall perfectly placed in time, because he was bang out of position there as well. Gugu knew it was coming for him. Now, some catching up to do for sure here with Team Heretics.
So Gugu's playing the RT like a Jack. Kazaki. He's also using the out-of-line gadget to pretty much abandon ship whenever it doesn't look good for him. But I bet he's wishing he had hacks right now just for that one specific scenario. iChaos is one tap from going down. You see Lana on the left side. Continue to farm up the super. Has that hypercharge ready to go. Not super interested in dealing with it right now. You see on the right side, iChaos and Drager gradually keeping things back. But a good play from Lana. If they can get everyone into one little corner, then Lana does stand a very good chance of team wiping all of FA Kozaki.
Holding on to it for the moment. 40 seconds remaining. I assume it's going to be a plan here for Team Heretics to try to get the lead early. Damage low enough before going in. That would be a great time for me for Lenan to do so, but he's playing it slow and cautious. And in the meanwhile, Goose healing back up as is Mavis. Nob now very low on that top right-hand side, not able to secure the kill on the side there of iChaos. But I mean, how long does the Team Heretics leave this? I mean, everyone now full HP on the side of Kozaki in a better spot than ever. And you really want to attack them when they're lowest. But with that hypercharge, Lenan's got to go now, surely.
Ooh, iChaos pops down the hypercharge and the super. It's just 2v3. Lana's got to make it happen. There's one on a knob. Needs another. Gugu, ideally to break the tiebreaker, teleports to the back left. Cannot be reached. Slight miscalculation from Lana. He went for Mebius, who would have got them to 5 stars, but it wouldn't have got them the tie-breaking blue star. An error which might have just cost them the set, which now goes to FA Kozaki.
He just seems to wait so long. I don't know why. Like the hypercharge is there at like 50 seconds on the clock, and I think you just got to go for it. Try and get the lead there, and if you can't, try and recollect yourselves and try it all over again. But I felt like Heretics kind of threw that a little bit for me.
I think what they knew is that they needed 2 kills and that it was going to be difficult against enemies that are she's really good at as long as the enemies are close together, which they were actually on their way to doing. They just could not get it together in the end. And iChaos falling alone on the right side there at the end of Game 3 was pretty much the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, ramp up in execution from Kozaki over the course of these 3 games, over the course of the set to take it. Now, what did we see from Team Heretics in that first game that they need to pull back into action to potentially swing this back in their favor there, Ark?
Sorry, I missed the question.
Yeah, sorry, at the wrong time.
On the screen. It's the first time we've seen the caster reactions since the weekend started, so I wasn't sure whether it just came to our cameras for a moment there. Sorry, what was the question? Sounds right to apologize.
Yeah. What moisturizer do you use? Because you look great, dude. No, we saw Heretics looking so sharp in Game 1, and they really sort of got run over by the time we got all the way down to the third of that set. I just want to know kind of what we saw in that first game. Did they trail off there, or was that just a full pickup from Kozaki?
Yeah, a bit of lack of confidence for me. I felt like the communication there was a little bit off. There was times when I felt like Lenan was really the key moment maker to go with that hypercharge on the Janet. You've got a fantastic ability then to really control your movements. Some serious firepower down onto the ground, and I think that what Drage and I guess we're trying to do is whittle down the HP to a point where Lenan could come in and just get a full sweep of everything, but they just didn't really seem to time that, in my opinion. I think that there was a moment earlier when they could have done so, but it would have meant that they probably would have come back with a lead, but then had to hold on to that lead, and that's where they were trying to make the timing such that they could just kind of like secure all the kills and not give Kozaki the opportunity to respond. But they left it too late, and by the end of it, as we saw at the end, Kozaki got one singular kill, and then the whole house of cards came tumbling down. Just didn't seem confident. The approach was not really right there for Team Heretics, and Kozaki stayed firm under a lot of pressure. So credit to them. Move into high now. As the band's already in, Penny, the Angelo, and the Melody picked banned out rather by Team Heretics. And on the side of Kozaki, the Bell, the Amber, and the Angelo all banned out here, which does leave then for me Eve, as the Angelo banned out on both sides, does then give a bit more of an opportunity for that broad to make a bit more of an appearance. Yeah, first pick, love that. Great pick from Kozaki. It turns a lot of some of the longer range brawlers as well, like brawlers like
персонаж середньої дальності, і в принципі зрозуміло, чому його саме його тут якби і вибрали. Я би сказав, зрозуміло.
I'm looking at something to deal with this Eve. Usually, not one that you specifically move to counter. See Juju selection here from Heretics. Sometimes can falter when it comes to the range matchup, but she does have some indestructibles she can fire over on that lane if she wants to take on the Eve, or whatever comes to the right lane. At least from our perspective, Eve is going to be coming from the left side. I anticipate that's going to be Colette's role. Maybe they're leaving that last pick open. Colette can flex wherever necessary. She's such a great pick here on safe zone. I'm seeing some potential for something like a Brock maybe in the future. Good save damage. You have that with your main attack, with the super hypercharge. Never can complain about that. Piper, another great selection. Taking a look at the bans, I'm also going to point out that we haven't seen like a Chuck picked or anything. He's not as viable as he used to be. Gets countered by a lot of different things. You don't want to be feeling like a Colette or something like that, but always one thing to keep in the back of your head in Heist.
I love the pairing, you know. It's perfect here for me for Kazaki. Juju definitely is a big, heavy threat. Don't get me wrong. Oh, some spicy picks in this one.
Я би сказав, якщо саме цей персонаж треба, то треба такі агресивно персонажів.
No bushes really except for the far right hand side, so Chaos really looking to take that kind of lane if you can. But now this Chuck from Kazaki does need to be countered by Team Heretics here in a very aggressive fashion. That is really how you go about it. You don't want to allow the Chuck time to set up, and that's what Nob, maybe it's Rolls or whoever's been playing the Piper and Eve on the side of Kazaki. They're trying to really deter that setup process and just go in very, very quickly on the defensive, really allow that offensive route to be set up. The Carl coming in for Heretics does speak that same story to me very nicely. Get the Carl on the safe and just go to town with that pickaxe. Have the Colette try to support with the
enemy side might decide to put another one. Yes, he's going to run the gadget to eat that post and then get another super down onto the safe. So this can be a pretty speedy setup. Team Heretics, they need to make a lot happen before we see the first Chuck super in. Not seeing a gadget out of the Chuck, interestingly enough. So he's just decided to pop a couple down at mid, I suppose, as Team Heretics are now taking a bit of damage from that Chuck on their safe.
Yeah, it was a good start from Heretics there, but then Drake actually was trying to use the super deep, and Sisha went down to kill feed, I noticed there as well. So not the greatest defense, and now the Chuck is set up. I'm not sure we saw the post in the middle of the map there, but we'll see how that fares. Juju's now able to get access to the safe, at least. Chaos though on the safe with Drage now, going in nicely there, some good damage, but it's a pretty even match when you look at that, all things considered. The non-forcing Milk to jump over the wall there, but all three members of Team Heretics are on the safe now and getting damaged. And meanwhile, the Chuck will be going in as well. It's really quite the base race here.
Okay, Colette hypercharge in from Drage, elimination of the safe, and a win here for Team Heretics. We found out what was going on with that Chuck post. He put the first one down so that he could just get his setup going on. And then when he was at the enemy safe, looks like that final post to get to the safe didn't really have enough range. So he then replaced it. That initial post that was placed in mid with the one that would allow him to go through the safe and get the additional points. So that's the math there. One post setup. It's just you can't really effectively push up too much to get that middle post, that first one, into its final destination just on the first shot.
Просто візьмуть і знову зруйнують цей
to Chaos there as well. As he pops the gadget, invisibility now, so Gugu doesn't know he's even there. Going through the mid, and some good help by Drake. Gugu stays alive. Drake connects to the safe, and now Chaos and Lenan, most importantly, swinging the pickaxe, getting the damage. They've got to deal with Lenan. It's a bit of a base race, but nonetheless, very much more in the favor of Team Heretics.
Nebius trying his best to defend Lenan, keeping him in close range. Pickaxe swing to take him down. Chaos and Drake now laying those shots in. Gugu on the Chuck forces to defend. Thankfully, Nebius has his back. Long range shot onto Drake. Also keeps him back. Another follow-up from Nebius. The clock is ticking for Team Heretics because this Chuck is going to be constantly cycling towards their safe. We also see Eve hypercharge come out. Blocking a few more shots. Thankfully, Chaos, he specialized in taking down turrets as a thrower. Lenot now in with the reposition. No CC to keep him back, and a Team Heretics win in set 2.
Тому що просто дається.
Really nicely done.
швидше нанести більше демеджу. На жаль, команда Козаки не встигли реалізувати свою тактику. На жаль, але була непогана спроба це зробити. Намагався максимально захищати свою базу, але, на жаль, проти трьох це взагалі не допомогло.
Now, Ark, you mentioned their strategy evolving over the course of that game. Tell me a little bit about how you saw that evolution kick in and really which player that started with.
I think for me, Team Heretics have to be very cautious to like stay firm and stay on their feet the whole way through. Getting, for me, Chaos into that top right pocket from the beginning, like I said, was really quite key. Juju then can be within the grass, have an additional range to her attack and keep that pressure onto that spawn side. And the Chuck is still looking to set up during this time. So if they had any kind of like, silly deaths along that path at the beginning for Team Heretics, then they're going to be immediately placed under pressure. But getting that starting point in place was really quite key. Making Drage that kind of pinnacle in the middle, getting our Chaos to the right, and giving Lanel that ability to go on the aggressive to get towards their save with that flying hook, and they did that really nicely. Because again, like I said, with a Chuck, you can fall behind very quickly, and then you're up against the wall. You're under so much pressure, and you're just always finding yourself on the defense because you're just going to keep coming back to the save every single time. The setup process there was as important really for Team Heretics as it was there as well for Kazaki.
I think we saw some creativity there with Chuck setups. We saw two different ones, and we also noticed that Chuck wasn't, devouring the post to get his super back. So, okay, he's running the other gadget, I guess. And yeah, so he was. It only got used once in game number 2. It didn't get them the win. But creativity definitely gets some kind of merit, but really, in the end, your objective is to win, man. It didn't really get them there all the way. You're going to be heading into a brand new draft here on Out in the Open. And as that map intro indicated, yeah, you can break that wall in order to get easier passage into mid, but it won't be happening with Brock. It's been banned out by Team Heretics.
Швидким оглядом ігор з кожних з команд, і що мені кожному сподобалося, які тактики будуть
countermeasure here for Team Heretics for me. That's kind of like where I would be thinking. Certainly, the range of fair is going to be quite crucial here to get right. Juju banned, as I think she pretty much always should be, regardless of the map and mode, in my opinion. So, always good thing to see in that regard. The Andrew band, the Brock as well, the Buster and the Pearl. I mean, the Pearl often gets forgotten about as well, so I'm quite pleased to see that that role has not been left out.
Так, у нас уже був перший пік від команди
Team Heretics. Interesting first pick. Of course, the healing paths, when your teammates kind of collaborate together underneath that star power, are going to be quite helpful for the long game. But there's a lot of long-range brawlers that are still left out here. Like I say, I'd like to see Gus paired with this Gene. I think it'd be quite a good, nice idea. And if not, it'd be Apps well is a good one that's often left out on this particular map. Some wall break potential as well from that magic hand. Probably not going to be too helpful, really only when you're on the defense to break through your own kind of like spawn side. So that's a consideration they can find something to pair alongside this. Eve going to come in, quite like it. Definitely going to be finding itself on that left-hand side, or at least the lake side of this map. But with Angelo banned, it makes a lot of sense to me.
I think into this Gene, you have to evaluate, like, what are really my options? What has a spawnable that can block a Gene pull? Also, into a Gene, any amount of the time you're facing an enemy that is constantly healing, even if it's a trickle amount, you're also getting tickled the whole time, so you can't heal Penny. And this was the first one on my mind, is yes, you're able to block a Gene pull this way, but are you really going to be getting your turret? Now, it's easier now than ever. She has that hypercharge that she has to earn, sure, but really I'm talking about the fact that she has longer range now by a few units there, and this has been a major change to Penny that's made her a lot more viable kit selection out now from FA Kozaki, a very team-focused support brawler kit. Get them a good counter to a throw if necessary, and also can be extremely frustrating to deal with your Team Heretics with that closing around the left side. Thankfully, though, I think Eve should be able to hold down the fort. She won't be too vulnerable. She can jump away. Obviously, you don't want to leave Drage for dead, but there are countermeasures available. Kit still, I think, should be viable.
And sorry,
Poco.
now talk about this.
Напевно, для того, щоб від кита оберігати.
I don't know. Like, that seems very odd to me. I mean, the synergy with the kit, I'm just trying to kind of see what the plan is there. I mean, like, yeah, you can disable a player and keep them static and allow maybe the RT to creep up and use the leg form to just instantly eradicate, or maybe a penny turret might be able to lock on during that time, but it's a very small window of opportunity. And the Poco is support that I haven't seen here for the longest of times. I really don't know, like, what is behind this idea. I mean, I certainly not in place of August, but I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It's just not what I was expecting in any fashion. I mean, maybe it's a response to the kit. Is my only consideration there, and trying to just give quick, immediate heals. But I'm not too sure about this.
Well, we have world finalist Brawl Stars player, repeat ones, consistent ones at that, who have made the decision that Poco is better than Gus in this situation. And I think I'm going to follow their lead here. But we still need to see how exactly this maths out, because there's not an optimal matchup for this Poco over here. Maybe his gadget will be of use to them. But
exactly,
for now, it's not really doing
much. It's the only thing that makes sense really is that the protected tunes to really sort of eliminate the stun from the kit. But is that worth picking as a countermeasure? I mean, I'm still not convinced it is, but certainly for Team Heretics, they were really quite deterred by that kit pick, and that was the only thing on their minds. Now the carbon box going to the left-hand side, Chaos jumps away, now attaches himself to Mavis as well. There's going to be a lot of heals, and it's already much more like I'm with Kazaki in this affair, as all Team Heretics crumble to the enormity of this comp.
That's what you pointed out, like, yes, protective tunes can get rid of stun, but it's not going to prevent your enemy from combining into this monstrosity of RT with his damage and also his health, and then Kid gets to do like 3k a shot with the shot that he can throw over walls. It's a tough one for them to deal with. Team Heretics now have clued themselves in and realized, okay, we got to go aggro, but they're effectively facing a fourth brawler here. Now they have the penny turret constantly laying down this fire. It's going to be about 3k damage per shot, so they can't get hit by that. It'll make their movement a little bit more predictable. It should be easier for Gugu and Nebius to line up the shots.
For me, I think Gus would have been the best shout, trying to get the early kills. The kit's only got really one option to attach to. But I mean, for the moment, Team Heretics has got to deal with this. And on a map that's really hard to do so. Once that kit attaches and the aggressiveness comes into play, as long as all three members are standing for Kazaki, I think it's just like a guaranteed round. Leg form available for Gugu, as is the jump for Nob as well here. Maybe slow, he might choose to jump. The cardboard box gadget comes in, and Chaos immobilized now, pulled away. Betrayed, Nob in a precarious position, but stays standing, as all three members of Kazaki do, and they get the game.
Eye-watering right there. As you pull that kit away from your teammate, but they're still stunned. That and your Gene and Poco do approximately 0 damage out there. I think we are yet to really see why this Poco was selected. And it's not even just like Gus in particular. I feel like there are several other brawlers that would have been a much safer selection. A lot more of generalists and not as niche of a brawler like Poco is going to be in this specific matchup. And there's entirely the possibility that it's actually just a mistake, but it's really all theorizing. Hopefully we get some answers from them later. For now, what we do know is that FA Kazaki are running the show here in Knoxville.
Well, if it's a mistake, A, it's unforgivable, and if it's legit a countermeasure to the kit, which is what I think it must be, it's not working, so it doesn't even warrant the pick in itself. So it's a mistake regardless. On the right side, though, invisible, Chaos jumps away, but that was a chance then, potentially, for Kazaki to steal like Chaos. Eve Jump going to be helping out so much in that regard. And Kit detaching there, better of it. It makes a lot of sense to try to get the timings that Super then can be available later on in this match when the gas starts to close in. So I don't mind that at all from Nob there at all. But we want some more aggression from Kazaki here going in, trying to deter this inevitable outcome, in my opinion, of these moments where this is going to stay standing towards the end. Nob goes in, and that was a mistake. He did not land on a single person, and that's given a glimmer of hope now for Team Heretics to secure themselves at least a round here.
Seeming error from FA Kazaki there, but they still managed to get some value. Penny, also with the additional damage, she did lose that final 1v2 as is expected, but she got her turret earlier on, and thanks to the bonus damage, she's going to be getting closer to that hypercharge, which should be trying to cycle out. That is a game-winning condition right there, given that they had at least a couple rounds to win this game. going to be playing the long game here, thinking about getting that turret for the final round, especially a hypercharge one, which probably closer to that hypercharge than the next turret, waiting for things to close in to actually get that opportunity. And for the time being, Team Heretics have opted to take a more reduced approach with Drage, especially hanging back. They can get a solid pull out here. That would be paramount. But Mebius is ready with the salty barrel, so Drage needs to find a target that is not going to get body blocked by Mebius.
Значить, гіперзаряд у тебе вже є.
Connect this magic hand for sure. It's gonna be a really tough thing to do because like so much evasive technique behind every brawl on the other side of the field here. Now the kit attachment is there. The hypercharged turret going down from Mebius, and they really wanted that round for that reason because that's usually they haven't got now, but they really want the set that badly to use it there. So let's see whether it's going to pay off now as whoever takes this round for Team Heretics allows them to stay in the question. Oh, hypercharged early for Drage here, going in with the magic hand and not even going to pull one off, just simply to get some grounding on the map and some positioning. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it got them good position. Got Drage in a position. Now he has that hyper. Excuse me, he has that super ready to go. Chaos caught off guard. Now combining the kit and Gugu together, but not really much coming out of it. Kit immediately dismounting so you can get that super once again. But Heretics have these guys against the wall. Lina has a heal. It's one of the first heals that we've really seen him hang on to. So maybe we'll finally get to see that Pokemon.
Drage still hanging on to the magic hand, but now the gas coming in, super available now for Nob. Just the right time as the gas coming in. Gugu going to jump in, leg form available for him as well, and he places them down. Now Chaos trying to get some taps. The heal there was clutch from Lanan as well, but now the kick connection is there, and Drage is low, and he should probably fall down to at least the gas here, and he will. It's going to be a team wipe for Kazaki. They take the set.
Не розумію, чому
2-1 so far.
Команда
Kozaki leading
Heretics не почала
seemingly on the path to make this win happen for themselves against Heretics once again. But this time Heretics don't get a second chance in a lower bracket. It's all or nothing. In a round one exit for Heretics would be catastrophic for a team looking to make a postseason run. You need to be at minimum getting the quarterfinals win. I still don't see the math on this Poco. He's not known for his damage, but 43 is especially dwarfed by what you see from Kozaki out here. Mebius leading with 153 damage per second, but Gugu in a crazy combo with Nob, especially as we saw in the final round of the final game, where he practically became invincible into the Gene in the Poco, who do basically no damage.
Incredible synergy from Kozaki all throughout that set there. But right from the draft, I know you both expressed some concerns. How much do you think, picking up something like a Gus would have changed things instead of a Pogo there?
Heretics, на жаль, не
quite
показали
I know
таку саму
why they did
синергію зі
it. I
своєї
just feel
сторони,
like
чому
for me
і
to be
програли.
feeling as though that was the play, it needs to do more. I think that their thought process was that if they bring in the Poco, there's a gadget called Protective Tunes that allows them to activate and cancel out any slows, any stuns, any immobilization of that particular brawler being effective for 4 seconds. And I just didn't see any real instance of it. I mean, there's a couple of hills from Lanan along the way, but like I said, going in, like I can't remember ever seeing a Poco on that map in the
через
past.
те, що в неї дуже багато варіантів вибору персонажів є для синергії. Зараз побачимо заблокованих персонажів до вибору. І зрозуміємо, хто що вибирає. Так, Джуджу, Сту, Лу, Колет, Амбер і Гріф заборонені до вибору.
The bands being the Juju, the Stu, and the Lu for Team Heretics, and the Griff, the Amber, and the Collect.
Значить, ось ці персонажі були заборонені до вибору.
It's very difficult sometimes though, ready if you lose that.
Були заборонені до вибору і
Stu being banned here by Heretics probably indicates that the point of being with Kazaki because that's definitely a brawl that wow, speaking of the devil, definitely a brawl which I was gonna say Drace pops off massively with on Hot Zone. So banning it themselves only mean the point was with Kazaki, and then they're bringing Poco first pick. I mean, is that a little nudge? What is that?
I don't think so. I don't think it's any like on the nose comments right there.
Poco,
в рейндж атака, вона допомагає іноді втримувати цей різкий напад від ворога. Тобто перший пік від команди Heretics, який у нас буде. Беррі, це персонаж типу артилерія, тобто зверху накидає, а паралельно це ще й такий самий хілер. Скоріше за все, другий пік від команди Heretics буде або Френк, або якийсь танк, щоб він хілив його. Ні.
Maybe Kozaki are like trying to set this up, you know, get the Frank out here. Draco. Okay, and Draco was the one that you mentioned. There are other options. I just don't love the matchup of Draco and Frank personally. It's like, it's playable, it's just not one that I love a whole lot because Draco relies a lot on his health, he doesn't have CC, and anytime Draco's able to hit Frank, Frank's able to hit Draco, so you're feeding him a bunch of damage and taking a bunch of
переваги, тому що якщо команда Козаків візьмуть якогось персонажа повністю, який контролює наближення танку, то це буде майже... Другий пік від команди Heretics — це так само танк і хілер, вони відповідають теж тим самим... Значить, останній персонаж має бути типу контроля, щоб контролювати цей...
has a bit more survivability, but this is definitely going to be gnarly on both sides. I'm still staying really by the Berry pick for me here. I think Berry just is in such a phenomenal place. We even saw yesterday. Oh no! Oh no! I was going to say we even saw yesterday in the East Asia region was the instance where Berry was providing so many heals, there's so many tanks that we had an 803 DPS. I mean that's the highest I've ever seen in the BSC. But now with a kit, with a Frank, with Poco, I mean, how is this bearing Team Heretics here? Because we've already had them suffer the kit in the previous set. They chose to Poco themselves in the previous set, and they did not bring home the goods. There's a lot of healing and a lot of survivability here on the side of Kozaki, and the response is a melody. I mean, you can dance around the zone and try to sell the objective, but I don't know.
I think the mindset here is probably let's stop this at its source, because what is really enabling the Frank, he's a bit of a self-starter because he has the most health in the game, gets a hypercharge for free as he charges it while taking damage, which is one of the things that you do when you have a lot of health. But into the Poco, I think is really the mindset. He is going to be completely helpless against the Melody. I think now he's going to be pretty tethered to that Frank. Also keep in mind that as Melody, you are not going to have any struggle at all getting your hypercharge and your super versus this enemy composition. The kit probably is going to stay away from you, but the Frank, the Poco, you outrange them. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. Already, FA Kozaki, they hold W and they spam that auto aim because what else really needs to be done? You got so much health, so much damage on your side. The survivability is paramount.
This is what I mean. Is this Melody pick going to be really enough here? I mean, now Drake's getting a fantastic positioning, and that's great for Lanal. The aggressiveness of that man never ceases to amaze me, and it's a perfect brawler for him. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, can this consistently happen? I think that for me, Kozaki has done such a fantastic job in this drop and given a real problem for Team Heretics, despite all the healing, despite the tankiness. They are making it work, however. Let's see. These players are very, very close here. They are in a good position for it. Not now he's the cover box. Invis found dead by Heretics and attaching himself to Gugu forces his way forwards. Look at the percentage. We're 50% apiece.
Finally separated by force.
Максимально моцний хіл видають зараз настільки сильний, що не вдається нікого перебити.
Nob really wants a super. Does have it now. Decides to go for the stun onto Drage. Cannot execute, get the kill just yet. Gugu trying to kill him, but the hypercharge healing from iChaos is just too much to get through. And Team Heretics, no, they've already gotten this one. The only point where it looked a little shaky for them was at the beginning. FA Kozaki walked straight in and spammed their attacks, and
але коли вони
it was done
всі
then.
зібралися
But I
разом,
think it was
а
just
ті нападали по
a
одному, то
moment
це
that was
дуже просто
required for
було
Melody to
потрібно
get her
це
super
справити.
cycled out before she could start getting in and making some moves. Cutting off Poco from the rest of the team, I think, was the biggest problem for
Козаки,
Kozaki.
я не знаю, може я не зрозумів їхню реалізацію їхньої тактики,
I'm not being funny, but I kind of give that win entirely in favor of him in that match because he was bringing so many heals. The angles that he was lining up with that Berry pick were absolutely insane, and I think it's far from over. But he is really doing a fantastic job of just keeping everything alive. And then Lenan is that player that's always going to be going on the aggression. I'm still reservating a little bit on this Melody pick, but as I'm saying it, he's showing me every reason why I shouldn't double take down the right-hand side, and fantastic stuff. Look at Chaos, already has the hypercharge available for him. I think there's definitely every chance that Kazaki can bring this back, but this Berry pick really is the catalyst for me in this Team Heretics comp.
Double hypercharge out, but iChaos and Lana can't get the kill as a result. Knob falls, and Mebius doesn't have the DPS to take it down. Pops a hypercharge, super out, but no shield on the Gugu. Just trying to get that additional damage on the point. Drake staying alive thanks to the gadget, but iChaos and Lana clean up, and they are gapping FA Kozaki right now by a staggering margin.
It's just how many supers is Chaos cycling? It's actually ridiculous. It's mad. He goes again, straight in, gets the damage, gets the heals, and I mean, just wonderful stuff. Absolutely brilliant from Team Heretics. Was not convinced by it at the beginning at all until that first retake. That's when things really started to say, hey, this could work. Wow, unbelievable retake of things, and that might just be enough momentum to give them a bit of a big boost going into the fifth and final set, because that's where we're going with this one.
Huge stuff out here for Heretics. That matchup worked out for them. Draco and Frank, not really an issue, because what's happening here? Oh no, I'm taking damage from Frank. Oh no, he's gonna stun me. Wait, I've been stunned exactly where I want to be, inside of the berry healing, which is feeding him super, which is also feeding him hypercharge, which he's cycling out all the time. I mean, look at the damage and the kills here for iChaos. Obviously, Lana leading the team with 12 kills and 610 DPS. He was nutty because it was no issue at all for him to get those notes, get the hypercharge, and go to town.
You know, when we started introducing this match, we hyped up the fact that this was a rematch. It went the distance last time they went head-to-head. We had the community predictions come in. They were right down the middle nearly, with a little favor for Kozaki here. Now that we've watched this matchup and we're heading into this fifth match here, how accurate do you feel like the community and all of this history has come to bear?
Але потім кількістю хіла вони повністю переграли
Team Heretics to fall back in that set. I didn't see it necessarily myself. I think considering just how much of a blunder there was in that knockout set, I wasn't sure that that was going to be the case. I think even looking on the faces of the players themselves, they weren't convinced actually even going into the set, despite it looking very convincing as to how the drop actually prevailed. But, I mean, like I said, I was actually not a fan of the Melody pick, but I'm much more to it now that I've seen that Lenan's stats were just phenomenal in that set. I just felt like it maybe wasn't the best of the brawlers there, because I think the Berry, was doing, for me personally, more. I mean, maybe the stats didn't say the same story, but I think that Chaos really was the man of the moment there for me. But how this 5-5 and final set's going to go, I don't know, honestly. I've seen both sides displaying some fantastic work, and both sides as well, displaying some moments of, in my opinion, weaker drops. I would say it's happening more so though on the side of Team Heretics, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kozaki bring this home, and that would be one of the biggest upsets we've seen all weekend.
Вже драфти бачимо. І команда Heretics вже заблокувала Кита, кажуть, не вибирайте ви Кита, ви ж програєте, дайте нам, покажіть нам, що ви можете з нормальним командом. Заблокували вони Кита. Що означає, що команда Козаки буде придумати якусь іншу тактику. І зараз ми можемо побачити перший пік від команди Heretics, це Lola.
Looks like a lane selection right off the bat. Lola, what does she do? She does damage. That is what she does. Counterable? Sure. Worth countering? I don't think so. Just gonna be good, solid, also a way to scout out some of those bushes.
Він дуже великий і
such an important drop now. Team Heretics, who in my opinion have definitely got more pressure on themselves. I mean, when you go back to the history of this very match, of course, in the qualifying stages, despite Yugi not being on the roster when that was the case, did get the win. This is what the matchup was when Kozaki qualified for this monthly final. Knocking Team Heretics down to that lower bracket, forcing them to have to then fight it out against Reply Totem to get here. Now, with everything that happened
over here thinking, okay, Kozaki already picked their mid. They went for the Gus over here. Nope, now we're going for the 8-bit. And they actually could have gone Bell and been good into both 8-bit and Pearl at the same time. I'm sure they're kicking themselves over this, because this Jaden is going to do absolutely nothing to the 8-bit. It's going to come down to iChaos and
Джином разом утримувати цей весь фланг. І Я би сказав, їм це вдається. Дуже сильний! Не вистачило часу, щоб зреагувати у 8-біта, і він був стягнутий джином, і тепер у команди Сміс 9 кристалів. Їм треба щось робити, але не вдається. Лола дуже сильно утримує контроль, і тим часом Леон проходить в невидимості і забирає на базі навіть Мідуса. Відлік часу почався. Козаки натискають, але, на жаль, цього часу не вистачає, щоб забрати Джина. Значить, це перемога для команди Heretics. Бачите, одна дуже класна стяжка від персонажа Джина, і перемога вже в їхній кишені. Давайте, козаки, зберіться. Ви вже один раз їх перемагали, бо зможете і другий раз. Знову всі розходяться по флангах, але тепер, ай-яй, на жаль, Бубу не зміг переграти Лінейна на своєму фланзі, і це означає, що зараз в них відбувається така домінація. І це видно, тому що їм нічого не вдається зробити. Лінейн зараз проходить спокійно на базу, але, ну, звісно, він програє, але він дає час Джину забрати вже цілих 5 кристалів. Поки що козаки переграли фланги, забирають фланги, але мені здається, це не надовго. Насправді, не так сильно довго, як хотілося, тому що, як вже видно, Айкаос і Лінейн дуже сильно тримують свої фланги. Непоганий нокаут Джина від Мебіуса. І тепер ці кристали бере на себе Айкаос, що дуже ризиковано.